he picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him.
Well, good morning, friends. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm Franky, and this is the Think Tank. So, it looks like James Brenner has been charged in the Dylan Rounds case. We all knew it was coming eventually, but hey, the day was yesterday. About 12 hours ago, the first little bit started to come out about James Brenner being arrested with this. So I'm just trying to find, I've got two that I want to show you, or just possibly one of, so there we go. Let's go. James Brenner, 59-year-old man already in custody, has now been charged with first-degree unaliving and desecration of a body in the case of Dylan Rounds.
Charges have now been filed in the disappearance of a Box Elder County man.
We'll take a look at this and I'll continue on.
Specialist Andrew Adams is live with the latest in the case of Dylan Rounds. Andrew?
Deanie, the charges filed against James Brenner, long considered a suspect in the disappearance of Dylan Rounds. He's been held behind bars in Weber County since last summer on a felony firearms charge. He's now charged with aggravated murder as well as desecrating a body. Now, if you recall, Rounds was originally reported missing in Box Elder County on May 30th. Searchers at the time found boots belonging to Rounds. Well, investigators in court documents now say a blood stain on one of those boots contained DNA from Rounds and from Brenner. Additionally, detectives used phone records to track Rounds' movements the day of his disappearance to a location in Lucin, where Brenner had been squatting. The phone data also showed the last signal from Rounds' phone came around the Lucin pond. Once investigators were able to find the phone there, documents say investigators analyzed it and recovered a time-lapse video from the day of Rounds' disappearance that showed Brenner with blood stains on his shirt and arms as he cleaned a gun. Rounds' DNA was also found on that shirt, according to investigators. Well, family members said last year that Brenner had lived on a trailer on the family's property in the past and worked occasionally with Dylan. They said Brenner was Rounds' closest neighbor at the time he disappeared. In a statement tonight, Dylan's family thanked everyone who supported them as they focused on finding answers. They asked for, quote, thoughts and prayers for justice for Dylan, that we can bring him home. The documents acknowledge that despite extensive searching, Rounds' body still has not been found due to, quote, Brenner removing and concealing it. Back to you.
All right. My first is thank you.
There are videos. There is, whoa, damn straight, sunk. That's the very first I've heard of a video in this case. And they were able to fish Dylan's phone out of the Lucin pond after they were able to locate it. So despite a thorough investigation and extensive search, the victim's body has not been recovered due to the defendant removing and concealing it. Evidence for the charges include DNA of a shirt with the red stuff on it and a video of blood on Rounds' boots that were found in the search for him. Brenner, 59, wasn't previously charged with anything related to the missing persons case for Dylan Rounds. The teen was last known to be near Lucin, a small town near the Utah-Nevada border, on May 28, 2022. Brenner was identified as a suspect by the FBI and Box Elder County Sheriff's Office back in July of 2022. Brenner has already been in custody, but Friday was finally he was named, in addition to felony charges, and ordered to appear before a judge. After the charges were filed, Dylan's mother, Candace Cooley, told KSL that she wanted to thank everyone for the support she received as they sought answers in her son's disappearance. I have not seen a family work harder, you guys. A probable cause statement lays out investigators' reasons for the charges. Documents state that during the search for Dylan Rounds, a pair of boots were located, one with a blood stain on it. And analysis found DNA belonging to both Rounds and Brenner. Phone data also showed Rounds' movement on the day he vanished, included his visit to a remote property where Brenner was squatting. The last signal came from the phone was in Lucin Pond, where it was located. So this gives you a little bit of an idea. Lucin is right here. This border between the two states is right close, and he often spent time in Montello, being the closest place to be able to get a meal. Investigators performed a forensic download on the phone, found a time-lapse video that showed a timestamp taken at the time Dylan Rounds disappeared. This video showed James Brenner with bloodstains on his arms and shirt as he is cleaning a gun. The shirt which defendant is wearing in the video was analyzed, and the victim's DNA was found on that shirt. Defendant was interviewed and made several claims that corroborated forensic evidence, in addition to making numerous, demonstrably false statements. The charges are based on solid evidence, and we ask you to keep thoughts and prayers for Dylan as they start to be able to bring him home. This comes from Candace Cooley, who really got a rough start. There's a couple creators that went after her and her family pretty hard when Dylan first went missing. The U.S. prosecutor recounted that he called Brenner violent, atrocious history that includes a malice shooting in 1986, convictions for illegally transporting and possessing a firearm, and a pending aggravated assault charge where he is accused of beating a 70-year-old man with an aluminum chair. There are no conditions under which the defendant could be released, citing safety concerns and a pattern of criminal activity. Dylan Rounds, who was 19 at the time, is originally from eastern Idaho, but had spent the last 3 years on and off living in the Lucin area. He just vanished, said Candace Cooley, Dylan's mom, and somebody somewhere knows something. Cooley said Brenner used to live in a trailer on the family's property and that he worked with Dylan off and on in the past. Authorities have said that James Brenner was squatting in a trailer and was Dylan's closest neighbor when he went missing. Dylan just said Brenner was a crazy old man who lives out in the desert. That's what you would expect from any, he was 17 at the time. So I'm going to be looking for that paperwork, friends, and see what I can dig up as far as information goes on this arrest affidavit, and see if I can find anything else, because it has been limited up until this time. Well, way to go. He is back in the Huskow, not getting out. And, he's been in the Huskow the whole time, but he is not getting out, which I know was a big fear of the family. I have a very large Dylan Rounds playlist. I've got one in there called Who Was Basically Living Around Dylan at the Time. And it's kind of spooky. where this child was hanging out. He was a smart kid. He was straight up business mind, not a big drinker. Don't believe he was ever into drugs, but he loved to farm. There's stories on how this altercation may have started, but I think we'll wait for some more facts to come out because they should start to be more of it being released. So until that time, check out my playlist, any other information that you can find about this case, because let's put this guy to trial. There's so much out there, my friends, on him that I don't think he's going to have much of a hope. So I'm very happy for Dylan's family, and may Dylan Rounds rest in peace. Okay, friends, for now, thank you for spending the time with me. I will be back with another update later in the day. So I appreciate you, friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.